Jeannie Dougherty helps people from all walks of life. She is a coveted counselor, certified money coach, mental health, fitness coach, and speaker. She works with businesses, individuals, and couples to help them find better ways to reach their goals. So please, listeners, lend us your ear as we welcome Jeannie Dougherty as our guest. Thank you, Jeannie, for coming on today with us. And please tell us about yourself and explain what you do.
Sure. I am a money expert and a mental fitness guide and also a retirement readiness expert. I work with adults that are absolutely in a place that they need to make changes with their money. And they need to make the changes now, and they want what I call a 90-day cash infusion.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what is a cash infusion? That's a term I've never heard before. Can you explain
Make
that?
Money.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'll explain a little bit more. So
Okay.
I work with people who are looking to make what I would call a career leap. So it might be that you have a job and in order to make more money, you might need to either get more education, meaning going back to school, or you might need to get a certification, or you just need to change careers. So I work with doctors who've become lawyers, and I've worked with engineers who've become teachers. And it's all well and good, but what some people don't always know is that they can go into heavy debt thinking they're going to make all this extra money, when they finally get their final certification or they completed all this training, and it might take them a few years to actually get there. And unfortunately, people's spending and understanding their own cash flow is not as perhaps as clear as we'd all like it to be. It's much more based on our emotional patterns, our family history, and then also what we think we can do with our money. So meaning it's a belief system. So when clients come to me, they want to basically change their money habits, their thoughts, their beliefs, and their cash flow when a 90-day cash infusion program. That's why I run money boot camps, so that people can actually kind of tackle the money thing, but not in a way that's going to cause them more stress or more worry or more whatever. It's like, oh, I've decided I want to take control of my money, and that's why I'm here.
Jeannie, what is your relationship with God, and how do you incorporate it with the work that you do?
My relationship with God is never ending. It starts at the beginning of the day, and I'm pretty sure God watches over me as I sleep. It's definitely a relationship that's always evolving, meaning I have a better understanding of His grace and His power. The reason that I became a money coach is because I knew so many people struggled with money. It seemed like every person I met had struggled with money, and it wasn't because they didn't necessarily pray or ask or anything of that nature. It was more like they were too small, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I thought maybe this is really what a lot of people are asking for. I need to know how to work better with my money. Well, who would do that? And if you keep going to God, please do this, and God's like, you could, talk to a budgeting coach, or you could talk to a money coach, or you could, have a discussion with your spouse about how to spend money differently. There's things that we have to do. My one of my favorite stories about the power of God and how God works for us is that there's a flood, and I think of California right now because California went through a lot of floods, but there's a flood and you need to be rescued, and you're on top of the roof of your own home and there's nothing but floodwaters and you're shivering in the cold, hoping that it's going to be your turn. And, God sends you a motorboat and you shoo it away. And then God sends the Coast Guard and you're like, no, I won't go. And then, God sends, I don't know, some last ditch effort of like neighbors on a raft trying to get you. And then you die. And then you go up to heaven and you're like, God, I wanted you to come rescue me. Why didn't you? And God's like, well, I sent you, the Coast Guard. I sent you, people on a boat. Then I sent people on a raft who were last ditch effort trying to save you. And that's what I mean by the level of foolishness that we sometimes put out there in our prayers and also in our faith. We expect it to be like a divine miracle. Like the heavens are going to part, the light is going to come down, angels are going to sing, and there's going to be doves everywhere. And if we're really lucky, we're going to see Jesus himself. And I think those are absolutely profound and amazing moments, even when they are on TV or in a movie. But my experience is most of the time when people get a financial miracle, it's because they've had a shift in their belief system and a willingness to accept help.
What do you think is the foundational understanding of money, man, and God?
Ooh, that's so deep. The foundational understanding. I think people don't think about God when it comes to money until they're out. Then they're praying like crazy. And I really don't say that to be funny. I really think that's just kind of the limited beliefs that people have around God and the power of what God can do with your money if you allow God into your life. So in my mind, if you wish to have a career or a profession or even a business that will bring hope or love or inspiration, whether it's product or service, I think you've started off with a very good foundation. How you can go about that is certainly praying every morning, for your business or your service to be, or your services, I should say, to be blessed and hopefully work with the right people. But also when there's times of challenge and strife, that you will have, if you will, the ultimate business coach, the ultimate bank there to support you.
What do you think is God's grace when it comes to miracles and money through prayer?
Ah, I believe that God's grace is never ending and God's grace is always here. But it's how we pray, I think, is what kind of can either take a long time to get the money, or maybe it might feel like we have to do lots of trial and error till we get where we want to be. I think what God is asking us to do is not to beg for the money. And I would just point out that, when people beg for money on the street, are you willing to give them money? In some cases you might, but in other cases you won't. And there could be good reasons for that. I'm not certainly here to judge. But if you don't like it when people beg, what do you think God does? So there's a lot of power in our prayer, particularly when it comes to money. Instead of just saying, God, send me money, it might be like, God, what would be the best thing I could do today to help people and do this in your name? What would be the best way to do that so I can also pay my bills? Would be a little bit different of a prayer because you're willing to show work for it, meaning you're willing to put your gifts and talents to work, but you're also willing to get paid for it, meaning you're not going to say, I should never get paid for this. This is just what I do. No, you can get paid for what you do. It's okay. God put you here to get paid for what you do. It's okay.
How important is budgeting regardless of our income?
So, budgets are a reflection of values. And so whatever you value is what you're going to spend money on or save money for. So is it sort of a godly thing? I would say yes. Because if you're just spending money wildly, you're going to end up in debt. If you are trying to save money, ferociously, just because you want money in your bank, or you literally want money in the mattress or in a drawer, or however you want to do this, just because you want the money, meaning you don't have any plans to like buy a home or, buy a car or, save up for a lovely vacation or something. You just want to hoard the money. Money problems always happen because the value of that money has shifted into a place of really lack. Spending wildly is because you're bored or you're looking for excitement. That's a place of lack, meaning you don't see yourself as a person who is a child of God, who is full of life and full of gifts and talents. No, you're just looking for stimulation. And, money can provide that temporarily anyway. And then if you're just hanging on to the cash, meaning you don't plan to have a beautiful home or buy a car or go on a very nice vacation, or like there's a purpose behind it. There's nothing there except for just hanging on to it. People end up with more health conditions and then still won't spend the money knowing that's actually the way through. So I've seen it happen that people, might have saved a lot of money and they're living in their house and they won't even take some of that money to like improve the house that they're in. And sure enough, like arthritis shows up, cancer shows up, diabetes, heart disease, you name it. All these conditions that require a great deal of money and medical care. Why? Because you created basically a hole, if you will, in your value system as well as with your money, that God is like, well, you have to fulfill the money in some way, shape, or form, meaning it's given to us here on this planet and we've got to do something with it. Hopefully we're doing good. Hopefully we're following what we at least think is what God is telling us, right? At least, right? But
Yes.
no, if you're just hanging on to it for the sake of I will be rich and therefore I won't have to spend any money because I've got all this money, then the money has got to go in a different direction because you've created a hole. And there's only one way that hole is going to dissolve. You're going to have to pass away if you're being so obstinate. Great example, I'm on the roof. I want God to come in and save me a specific way, but I won't take any other help.
Yes. So that leads to the next question I have for you, which is great. Can you please explain money mindsets that people have?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a great one. So I would say that people struggle or they oscillate like a fan, meaning they go back and forth.
Yes.
And they have what I would say definitely a place of lack, a place of scarcity, a place of I don't have enough. And then their mindset goes to, well, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to go spend it. Who cares? Money doesn't matter. You don't need to be attached to your money. And I think what happens is that we don't understand what's in the middle, which might be my money's good. I'm working on it, or I'm taking care of my debt, or I'm taking care of my bills. I am providing for my family. I provide for my community. I'm choosing joy. That's kind of in the middle, right? But people oscillate from lack to it doesn't matter. They can easily do that within a day or within an hour because they're not centered in their own thinking. Mindset in my mind it's not so much being frozen in time, if you will, or being frozen, this is like a mind cage. This is all you can think about. It's really about how are you able to turn your money mind from lack to thriving? And how do you turn it doesn't matter to I'm responsible? And that's all in the middle.
How should we utilize prayer when it comes to money mindsets?
I love that. The best thing I recommend is that if you are in a place of prayer, be very specific. And I'll say this because money is a reflection of our values. So is a budget. So how we spend, save, invest, etc. Is that when we tell our money exactly what to do, it's a lot easier for God to answer. So for instance, if that person was, up on the roof and they said, God, I need to see divine light and then I'll know this is the right sign. God would have provided the divine light and then they would have gotten in the boat, gone with the Coast Guard, would have jumped on the raft, right?
Yes.
That would have made sense because they told exactly what they needed. God, I need a clear sign, right?
Yes.
So when you're in a place of prayer and you're in a place of I don't know, meaning I'm asking God because I'm staying dead or I need some financial support, what's good is to say, God, here's what I'm asking for. I need a clear sign. So, so I know I'm going in the right direction. And if I'm not, please give me a sign that I'll recognize and go, oh, I need to get back over here. Because mindset is really turning your mind either on or off. It's either turning it on to this wonderful, miraculous, full of miracles frequency of God has got my back. I've handled, what's in front of me. I'm going to handle if there's anything in the future because I've got God. We're good. Or it's going to turn me into this place of feeling small, broke, terrified, and kind of wasting away for some imagery. So I find when we can pray and say, God, I know that money comes easily to me because I'm faithful. God, I know that you love me and you're going to show me the best path. So I'm going to ask for, in the next 24 hours, a sign. I'm going to ask it be so clear that it will be unmistakable and I will know exactly what I need to do. I'm also going to ask God, if there's any people that need to come into my life to help me, please let them come. I'm ready and willing to listen. Thank you. Amen. And that usually what happens within 24 hours, people get a sign. They turn on whatever, Facebook or Instagram, and all of a sudden they see an ad for something. They're like, I could use that. That would really help me. So for instance, let's say it's a special money budgeting app, for instance. They might get like a free masterclass, to, I don't know, money and mindset. And then they'll get something even better. They will get something that's like, oh my gosh, this person actually needs to hire me for what it is that I do. They'll actually get a source of income showing up. And that's what can happen. But what people don't do is they don't expect that it can. They just keep praying over and over, I'm faithful and I'm small and please God help me, please God help me, please God help me. And I'm not saying when you're terrified, don't call out for God. Of course you can. But in money situations, we have a little more time. It's not a disaster, it's just a little more time.
So defining, right, being very clear on how we pray to God of what we are asking is crucial in getting the response that we're looking for.
Yes.
And that we need.
Yes.
Excellent advice. Thank you. How important is tithing, and what are the different ways to tithe?
Oh, such a beautiful question. Okay. So I'm going to read the quote that always makes me think about tithing. And here it is. It's Malachi, the book of Malachi, chapter 3:10. And it's bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. So that could be your house, could be your business, could be your heart even. And that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. I want to tell you the story of this woman that I met, and she just radically changed everything I understood about tithing. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I get it. So what was happening is that her life was, it was oscillating like a fan when it came to her money. It was, I'm broke or I don't care, kind of thing. It was one or the other. And she was trying really hard to figure out, how do I get to the middle? And so tithing was, if you will, the miraculous action. It was the proof of God in her life. And so she started to tithe. Most people will tithe at 10%. That's what most people do. And they will tithe either to their house of worship, or they will tithe where they think they are getting their goods. So this could be somebody inspires you and you want to give them money, which happens, believe it happens all the time. It's somebody that you could inspire you maybe in a way that you didn't expect, or somebody maybe you've been angry at, but now they inspire you. So you might, wish to tithe them or give them money, on what's happening. So long story short, what happened is this woman started tithing at 10% and things got easier for her. Suddenly she had steady income. She had steady food coming into her house. She was actually able to provide for herself as well as her daughter. And she was even able to get her own house. And this was huge because she was a single mom. And she felt very proud of herself. And she spoke of God in her life all the time. But she still had a lot of debt. Like when I say a lot of debt, I mean a lot of debt. And it was debt that was hard for her. And sometimes debt is hard for us. I just want to say that. Sometimes debt is hard. So she basically said, listen, God, I need an answer here. Like I'm okay, but I can't get past this lump, this amount of money. And she prayed, I think, for like a day. She was like in a hotel room. I think she was traveling or something. And the answer came. She needed to tithe at 40%. That is 4 times the amount. And she needed to do it fearlessly, knowing that God had her back. And that's why I read that quote from the Bible. Because this is the one that makes me go, yeah, 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 yeah. That's why I said, maybe the storehouse is your heart. You need to really take a good look at this quote, this quote, and like really pray on it. Like if you read that every morning and tithed after you said it, what would this look like, So she did, and she tithed at 40%. And the last I heard, she's still tithing at 40%. Her debt went away miraculously. All of a sudden, large sums of money came. She paid it off, and she didn't go back into debt. And that was her miracle. So sometimes people just don't have the extra cash today, but they do have the time. So they will tithe with their time. Other times, let's say you're really great at social media and you're going to tithe your talent for, I don't know, for maybe somebody who's just starting a small business, or maybe it's a family member, or maybe it's somebody in your community. And then other times people will just kind of look around and see where they need to go. So I've met people who they don't really have any particular skill or talent, but they're good at helping. Like that's their real talent, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So I've met people who were like, oh, do you want me to sweep out your garage? Is that all you need? I mean, they make 6 figures. They're pretty talented, in what they do. They might be very techie, but they're like, you just need somebody to sweep your garage? Go out. And they literally will show up with their own broom and dustpan and be gleeful and joyfully sweeping out someone's garage. And it's no time at all. Why are they doing this? Because they know that some stuff, it's not about money per se. It's about that value of love and expressing it. And so they do it.
That is so beautiful. I don't think, we have the head knowledge when it comes to that. But when you explain that so succinctly and beautifully, that it will help people to understand that tithing really, and take it from the head knowledge to the heart knowledge, is that sometimes it is just about serving, showing up with your time, your talent, right?
Yeah.
Just your presence. Sometimes a smile is tithing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you are a person who's enjoying, I'm not even talking about the amount of money you have, or maybe you're having a moment with your own money and you're just trying to kind of get through the day. If you literally come from a place of like, well, Stacy, I'm here to help you today. How can I, is there anything I can do? Would you like me to go take out your garbage? Or you want me to sweep your kitchen? And I'm just using really basic ideas. Or is it, do you want me just to sit here and listen to you and find out what makes you happy? Wow. That can be such a difference. Such a gift.
It is a gift. So that leads to my next question. So you do believe that heart posture plays a role in how we approach money, as well as our money mindset?
Yeah, money is emotional, and we learn money as emotional patterns from our families. However we were raised, doesn't matter, if our parents actually did the raising or we even knew them, doesn't matter. We learned from our family and our mentors and our community what money is, how it's supposed to be valued, what you're supposed to do with it, and what are you supposed to do if you don't have any. We learn all that. And so it's a good thing, I think, to learn, but there's a lot of things that we learn that aren't necessarily helpful. And I'll give you a quick example. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's an absolute lie. Money's paper. Totally grows on trees.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes.
What they're trying to suggest is that you might need to work for your money, that money will come to you if you work for it. Not just standing around going like, can't you take me to McDonald's? Can't you get me an ice cream, Stacy? No, correct. You might need to go work for it if that's something that you want. One of the big things that I like to do when I work with my clients is understanding the difference between a financial need and a financial want. So a financial need is your rent's paid, you've got your utilities paid, you got gas, you got food. I think you get the point. Like you have your basic necessities handled so you can live. And I don't even mean comfortably. I mean, you can just live. Like it's inhumane to think that you should get through, let's say you live in Chicago, a very cold winter on no heat. That's inhumane. You're probably going to get sick and die.
Correct.
But it's the same thing if you live somewhere like, I'll say Texas in the middle of the summer, no air conditioning for 4 months. Congratulations. You're probably going to get sick from heat exhaustion. Oh my, that's awful.
So you brought up debt, right? And one of the other comments that you were making. And I wanted to know before we go to the topic of leveraging, is there such a thing as good debt and bad debt?
Yes. Yeah, because we've set it up this in our society that there is such a thing as good debt. Now, mind you, in other parts of the world, debt is debt and you should avoid it at all cost. Because the rules have been in their society, if you are in debt, you could be killed for it or sent to prison.
Whoa.
So that's what I mean. Like, we're like, what do you mean good debt? It's fine. You're like, well, it depends where your family came from. If they came from a different part of the world, no. So for instance, the debtors in England were sent to Australia. So good debt typically looks like a mortgage that you can afford. Notice I say afford. Good debt could be student loans that maybe you're going to be able to pay off in 10, possibly 20 years. And I say maybe. Good debt might be that you will take a home equity loan out because you need to make a major upgrade to your HVAC because it just has to happen. So you need to, have a little extra money for that because you can't live without an HVAC. Can't do it. Not in modern world. What might be a good debt is that you're paying for your kids' school. So you're investing in your child's education. That might be good debt for you. Because, you don't have, I don't know, a stack of $100,000 just lying around to go send 3 of your kids to college.
We had a discussion on leveraging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you were talking, I had a different perspective on what leveraging is. I always saw it as something that was not in my in my life. I didn't understand what leveraging was, and I said, it doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm not a multimillionaire. It's not part of my life. So please explain what leveraging is and how it works, and should or can we do this if we are not wealthy or millionaires or billionaires? How does this all work? Please.
So let me explain what leveraging looks like if you have, say, a significant amount of money. And I say significant doesn't mean millions and billions, but we'll just say significant. And you also have a network of people that also might have a similar amount of money, not laying around, but they want to leverage it. So what happens is that many times a millionaire that's not in a lot of debt, because there are millionaires that are in a lot of debt. I just want to speak that into
yes.
into the podcast universe. There are millionaires out there with a lot of debt. But what some people can do if they have a significant amount of money is they can leverage it. So, for instance, let's say you have $1 million cash and you wish to invest it. And I'm going to make it easy. I'll say real estate because that's concrete. I won't get into like stocks and all that stuff, but let's say you want to invest in real estate, but you don't want to buy just like a large property for $1 million, which is smart. It's actually smarter to get some smaller properties. But let's say you decided that you're going to open up a business, and I'm going to say Texas, which has pretty low housing. I would say it's a little bit more affordable, and you're going to buy 5 homes around $200,000 each. But here's the leveraging piece. You are not going to put all of your $1 million of cash into the real estate market. No, 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 no. What you're going to do is buy homes on mortgages. So you're going to put down, let's say, $20,000 on 5 homes. So that's, what, 100,000 right there. You still haven't hit all million right there. You still got 900,000, and you're going to have mortgages. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go find renters and have a property manager. And then you're going to take that 100,000 and, if you will, start making money, but doing it in a way that should be fairly safe with renters. And, the properties will grow, and then eventually you can sell them and make money that way without having to be on the hook for the $1 million. Now, with that $1 million, you only really spent, out of your hard-earned pocket money, 100,000. Let's say 10 other real estate investors who want to take advantage of that additional 900,000. And let's say you're willing to do it. So you don't actually maybe put down, 20,000 on any of these other homes. It's 10,000. So you become an investor. So that's sometimes what people do is they have the cash, that $1 million worth of cash, but then they put it into, in this case, property, so that it will continue to grow for them and continue to make money for them. And they did it in a way so that they're not going to have what I call a lot of high risk. If you get into the stock market for leveraging, this is where it gets really interesting. For most of us, we're just going to purchase a stock or a bond or maybe even a fractional share, of a stock. And that's how we're going to, take a look at our money and do that. When you are very wealthy and have a significant amount of money, you can put a lot of your cash into the stock market so that it will make money. But your return on investment in terms of time won't be, say, 5 years in the housing market. It might be over 30, 40-year period. So you have money, but you'd have to sell it in order to get to it. In either case, the real estate or the stock market. Crypto, same darn thing. So people will leverage that money. If you are, say, somebody who's got maybe $10,000 and you want to find a way to leverage it, the stock market may not be such a bad idea, or real estate may not be such a bad idea. It depends on what you feel comfortable with and also your ability to take the risk. For some people, if they run into 10 grand cash, they're just going to go pay off some credit cards. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Nothing wrong with it. Because, maybe part of, your wealth ecosystem is to reduce your debt and then have that cash to put either back in your own home, put it towards maybe, say, your children's college education, or maybe you're going to go, buy a second home down the road and you want to just put some of that money away and you might put it into a high yield savings account. So you are leveraging it in different ways, but you don't just have $10,000 in cash that's just sitting in the bank. Because people who are, I wouldn't say necessarily smarter, but they're a little more clear with their money. A millionaire might only have, and this might shock you, they might only have about $20,000 liquid in their bank accounts, and everything else is leveraged into real estate, into the stock market, into crypto, family homes. Maybe if they have a business, it's going to go into the business. And why do they do that? Because they're just like you and I. If there's cash in the checking account, they're going to probably spend it, but they're going to spend it on something bigger.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's helpful when it comes to this idea of leveraging and how you can make it work for you and your lifestyle, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing. What most people do is they will pay off maybe 1 or 2 credit cards, which is good. And sometimes I almost want to say, then please go freeze the credit cards or take them off your Apple Pay or your Google Pay so they're not readily accessible, and put them away someplace. Because if you've got money and you're going to, thaw it out from the freezer, that's quite a step, right? So you can use the card. You know what I mean? That's quite a step.
That is a step.
But, and if it's absolutely necessary, you will do it. But if it's, always there, like you've always got cash on hand, or credit on hand, you're going to use it. You just will use it.
It's true.
And that's why it's good to have some healthy limits to how you spend. Because as I said before, your money is a reflection of your values. So choosing not to maybe go on a cruise or a vacation is sometimes a good thing that will actually provide more value for you down the road. Not saying you'll never go. I don't want to ever say you'll never go on a vacation. That's not true. You totally deserve to go on a vacation. And lots of people are like, they get to a certain age, they're like, who cares? I'm going to get on the, get in the car, get on a boat. I'm going on a cruise. I don't care anymore,
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that as long as other things are happening in your life that keep the money stable and steady.
So stability when it comes to our money is crucial, right?
Right.
Like,
Otherwise, you're on a money roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down.
that should be part of our foundation, stability and money.
Yes.
Okay. What scripture, if any, do you use to guide you regarding money?
Oh, Malachi, the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10, which is what I read earlier. Because it always speaks to me about where my little fan is pointed towards the lack, or my little fan points to, I don't care, or I'm not thinking about this. I don't think it's important. I'm like, Jeannie, if you want to stay in the middle, or if you will, in God's grace, if you want to stay in a place that you feel focused and you know what to do with your money, then it would make sense that you would tithe.
What else would you like to add to this conversation?
Oh, even if you have failed, let's say you're praying and you're tithing and you failed, whatever happened with your money, it failed. Sometimes the failure is absolutely necessary for your greatness to unfold. So it's not well, shame on you, Jeannie. It's like, hey, maybe you need to fail until you get it right. And this is part of your story.
Where can people find you?
I'm at JeannieDougherty.com. And so I'll spell it out.
Okay.
It's JeAnnie, like that old TV show, I Dream of Jeannie.
Loved it.
And I truly believe my name means magic. So I love my name.
Yes.
And then my last name is Dougherty. So D as in dog, Ougherty. Dough, like as in the money, ERTY.
Love it.
Yes. So that's me. I actually never thought of it until somebody was like, wait, your last name means money. And I was like, that's right. Dougherty. You're right. So that's one way to do that. You can get on my link and check out my free money masterclass, which is every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I go more in depth about money mindset, how to actually think about fixing some of these money mind blocks, but really they're like gigantic potholes in our path to greatness. Like, why do you keep falling down? Because there's the pothole right in front of you.
Yes.
So I go more in depth of that. I also have a free money type quiz, so people can take that on my website if they're curious, and then they can always reach out on my calendar and just say, hey, I have some questions. Because I do run a money boot camp, and it's absolutely amazing. Like the question I ask people on my website, which I ask people, all the time, but what could you do if you were totally in control of your money within 90 days? What do you think you could do with it? And that's a very empowering and refreshing way of looking at money, to tell it exactly what to do instead of oscillating on, oh, I'm not very good at money. It never comes to me. I'm slow at this. Or, oh, I'm so tired of not having any money. Oh, I don't care anymore. Like oscillating between that. I mean, no wonder you got to find your center.
Do you have your own podcast, Jeannie?
I don't. I have a free money masterclass, which is where I go in depth about the money coaching that I do. But I don't have my own podcast. Everyone I talk to, because they like me, have asked me to get one. And I'm like, I'm not ready for one. And it's not because of the money. I'm just like, I know what I do. I know like where my gifts and talents are, because I'm also in the process of writing an e-workbook for money skills for people who want to make a career leap and not go into debt.
Nice. So
that requires time.
It does. It does a great deal of time. But if, that is something down the road for you, God will present it. So all that you're doing is is great, and we have avenues to learn from you. And so I'm grateful for each and every one of them. So again, thank you, Jeannie, and God bless you for the work that you're doing in transforming lives.
Thank you. And definitely God bless you, Stacy. Thank you for creating this beautiful podcast.
Thank you. God bless. Jeannie Dougherty has a unique and positive perspective when it comes to money and money mindsets. Her vision and her strategy is based on faith. She brings to light new perspectives, God's perspectives. She takes you from perception to God's perspective. Through her work, she transforms the lives of people, and she makes money accessible. Instead of fearing money, she teaches you how to manage money from a positive and healthy perspective. So please go to her website and take some of her free classes when it comes to money, and see how your head knowledge about money transforms into heart knowledge, and watch your life bloom and blossom, and watch God bless you with the stewardship of money. Please share this episode, follow, and subscribe. Also, there's a link in the episode show notes regarding thoughtful listening, and that will give you the list of 9 types of listening that is effective and productive, not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life. Please check out Grace and Gratitude, Reusable Things, that's on IG, and see how you can be better stewards of your environment by buying things and reusing them for your household. And I hope you're doing the same. Appreciate you for listening. I welcome all comments, and I look forward to the next episode. God bless.